Hello my dear students of class 9. Today we will going to discuss about the chapter 15, and this is the last chapter of the atmosphere where we will discuss about the term humidity and what are the types of humidity, and also what is condensation, precipitation, and at last the type of rainfall. So let's get started. The moisture continuously enters and leaves the atmosphere. So which means moisture means the water that is present in the air. It helps in heating and the cooling of the air. When present in air, it gives the air a different character. So that means the moisture present in the air have a different characters. So how the different characters happen? This happen by various processes. So these processes are evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So now we will study about these processes that are. Firstly, we discuss about evaporation. So what do you mean by evaporation? The process by which the water vapor enters the atmosphere on heating. So which means the process by which the water vapor enters the atmosphere. How the water vapor enters? So water vapor enters by absorbing. When the water absorbs the heat, it changes its form to the gaseous state. So which means evaporation is taken place between the liquid form of state to gaseous form of state. This process is called evaporation. Now the next process is precipitation. So which means the process by which the droplet falls to the ground in liquid, solid or frozen form is known as precipitation. So here we see after the condensation happen where it forms the water droplets, in the precipitation process it will form on the ground. It will fall on the ground in any state, that is it may be liquid or it may be solid or frozen form. So this is called as precipitation. Now the main point is the humidity. So what do you mean by humidity? We will discuss here. So what is the main meaning of humidity? The amount of water vapor present in the air is known as humidity. So the amount of water vapor that an air contained in a same temperature. So that contained at the same temperature at the same mass of air is called as humidity. As we all know about humidity, now we are going to discuss that the total volume of water in the ocean and the seas is constant. So which means it does not increasing and decreasing. This is because all the water that evaporate from the earth's water bodies is eventually returned to its directly by the process of condensation and precipitation. So which means there is a cycle running in the atmosphere for which the water is going to the different state and it is returning back to the earth's surface. So for that reason the water content in the earth's surface is remain constant, and this is happening by the process of condensation and precipitation, and indirectly by the streams and overflow from the land surface. So as precipitation mainly happen in the land surface, the water goes to the sea by the stream and overflow from the land surface. Now here we will discuss about the water cycle. So firstly we have to read this paragraph that vapor is the gaseous state of water. So as we know that the water vapor is happening when the water absorbs the heat. So a certain amount of energy is required to change the water into the water vapor. So that absorbs the heat. The heating of water over the ocean, lakes, river causes the water to evaporate. So the energy that is required to change the water to water vapor is 600 calories of heat is required to change 1 gram of liquid water. So if there is 1 gram of water, it requires 600 calories of heat. to change it from the water state, that means liquid state, to the gaseous state. The heat loss occurs during the evaporation, and we know that during the evaporation process, that means when the water vapor enters the atmosphere, it loses its heat, and the heat passes into the water vapor in a hidden form. So that hidden form or the process is known as latent heat. So latent heat is mainly the energy released or absorbed, mainly the process by which the energy, that means it may be heat, is released or absorbed by a body, which is supplied or extracted to change the state of substance. So which means it changes from water vapor to liquid state. Now when the condensation occurs, so what do you mean by condensation? Condensation is the process of changing water vapor to the water droplet. So that means here it is releasing the heat and it is changes its form. By the condensation, latent heat is released back into the atmosphere and causes a significant rise in the temperature. So which means by the process of latent heat, it releasing the heat, and for that reason the temperature is rising in that particular area. That is why during the rainy season, one feel more heat than when the skies are clear. So as we know that when the skies are clear, the temperatures remain normal. But when the rainfall is happening, then the atmosphere is releasing heat and it becomes cooler. So the heat that is present in that atmosphere is the cause for the rising in temperature. In lower latitudes, owing to a relatively higher temperature, evaporation is greater. That means that temperature is related with the evaporation. So with the evaporation, which means if the temperature is higher, then also the evaporation rate is also higher. In the equatorial region, we know that the skies are often remain overcast with the clouds and the evaporation is low. So that means in the equatorial region, we know that it has the higher temperature and which releases the greater amount of evaporation. But when the equatorial region is overcasted with the cloud, then the temperature remains down or low. So for that reason, the evaporation that is happening normally in the equatorial region is relatively low compared to this condition. In the tropical desert surrounded by the seas, evaporation is maximum because the higher temperature and the clear skies, for this region the evaporation is higher. So as we know that the higher temperature can causes the higher amount of evaporation. Now here we will discuss about the transformation of water in the atmosphere by the different process and its states. Here we see that from the water, that is a liquid state, by the process of evaporation and condensation, that means evaporation is absorbing of heat and condensation is the releasing of heat. It changes from the liquid state to gaseous state, and again by the process of condensation, that means releasing of heat, it comes again to the state of liquid. Now if we see that if the water is in normal state and that is normal temperature, and if it further releases the heat, that is by the process of freezing, it goes to the state of ice, that is the solid state, and again it goes to reverse the reverse process, that is by the melting process, which means that it goes from solid state to again to the liquid state. So this process is called melting, and for which that the ice absorb heat to become water, that is goes to the liquid state. Now here we see that ice also goes to the water vapor state, that is by the process of sublimation. So what do you mean by sublimation? Sublimation means the type of transition or change in a state matter by melting or freezing and evaporation. So here we see that the ice also changes to water vapor by the process of sublimation, which means the ice absorbs so much heat that it goes directly to the water vapor state. So if we see that if we take out a ice piece directly from the fridge and put it on a hot pan, it directly releases the gases. So which means that the ice is contacted with a high amount of heat, and which transforms by the process of sublimation to the water vapor state, that is the gaseous state. And again the condensation, again the water vapor releases the heat and goes to the state of solid or ice state. So it is a direct process. So it here from the gaseous state it directly goes to the solid state, and also from the solid state it directly goes to the water vapor state. So here we will discuss about the factors that favoring evaporation, that are humidity, supply of heat and wind. So firstly here we see that the dry air promote greater evaporation. So why dry air promote greater evaporation? Because the dry air has the more capacity to hold water vapor than the humid air. So we previously know that humidity is the amount of water vapor contained in a air. So if an air contained less amount of water vapor, so which means the dry air, it contain more water vapor. So for that reason the water evaporation takes place, the rate of evaporation is higher. So the dry air which have less amount of water vapor promotes the higher rate of evaporation, because it contain more water than the humid air. So humid air means the air that contains a more amount of water vapor. Now here comes that humidity. So humidity, the water is added to the atmosphere by the process of evaporation. As we previously know that the water vapor that is present in the atmosphere, it is added through the process of evaporation, which is the change from liquid state to the gaseous form, and this water vapor in the air is called humidity. So the amount of water vapor that is present in the air is called humidity, as we previously know. Humidity is inversely proportional to the heat. The hotter the air, the more is the water vapor present in it, which means, so as we know before, if the temperature in the air is higher or greater, then also the moisture in the air, that is the water vapor, is also high. Now we will discuss about the type of humidity, that are humidity, absolute humidity and relative humidity. So firstly we will discuss about the absolute humidity. So what do you mean by absolute humidity? The amount of water vapor held by the air at the certain temperature and volume. So at a certain temperature and a volume, that is atmospheric pressure, it is the amount of water vapor that is held by the air is called absolute humidity. So absolute humidity is the mass or weight of water vapor per unit volume of air, and per unit volume of air. So in per unit volume of air, the mass or weight of the water vapor is called the absolute humidity. Now it has a unit for the calculation of the absolute humidity, that is gram per cubic meter. So that is gram per cubic meter, that is m to the power 3. Now since the air rises upward, the absolute humidity may be changes. Therefore the weather calculation absolute humidity is generally not taken. So here we see that the absolute humidity is dependent on the temperature and the volume. So for that reason, the absolute humidity is not taken for the calculation of weather, as it is sensitive to atmospheric pressure and temperature. Now we will discuss about the relative humidity. So what is relative? So here, what do you mean by the relative humidity? Relative humidity is the ratio between the absolute humidity of the given mass, as we previously know about the absolute humidity, and the maximum amount of water vapor that a air can hold at the same temperature. This is called the relative humidity, and it is generally expressed, as we know before, the expressed in percentage, that is actual humidity by the water holding capacity of the water vapor. So which means the water holding capacity means the water vapor that is contained in an air at the same temperature into 100. So here why we multiply it with 100? Because 100 is the saturation level of the air. So saturation, so what do you mean by saturation? Saturation means the air that cannot hold further water vapor. So which means that the air that is fully saturated, which means the air that cannot hold further water vapor in it. So that is the saturation level of the air, which is 100%. So here we know about the relative humidity, as it is by actual amount of water vapor present in the air by the holding capacity water vapor holding capacity of the air into 100, that is the saturation level of the air. So here it is given an example that if the temperature, so suppose if the temperature is 25 degree Celsius, then, and if the relative humidity is 60%, relative humidity is 60%, that is the ratio between absolute humidity and the water holding capacity of the air, and then it can still add 40 more percent. As we know, the saturation level is 100%. So if the relative humidity is 60%, then it can hold more 40% of water vapor to become saturated. Now, if a sample of air can hold 20 gram per cubic meter at 25 degrees Celsius, but the capacity to hold is 25 gram per cubic meter at this temperature, then the relative humidity will be the absolute humidity, that is 20 gram per cubic meter, and the water holding capacity is 25 gram per cubic meter into 100. So that will comes that 80 or 80%. Thus the relative humidity of the air is 80% at the temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. Now the relative humidity increases with more water vapor in the atmosphere but decreases with the reduction of water vapor. So it means that it is directly related to the temperature. So relative humidity, that is RH, is directly related to the temperature. So here it is given a new term, that is dew point. So what do you mean by dew point? Dew point is the temperature at which the air get fully saturated. So at the temperature at which the air cannot hold further water vapor is called the dew point. The relative humidity is most essential character of the climate. So why it is the most important characteristics of the climate? Because it generally helps to determine the amount of precipitation. So here we know that from the relative humidity we can indicate the amount of precipitation that can happen. So here we know about why the human being feel uncomfortable with the high relative humidity. So as high humid air is occurred, then the human body dissipate heat through perspiration and its evaporation. So under this condition, high relative humidity, the rate of evaporation decreases. So here we see if the relative humidity is higher, then the amount of evaporation decreases. So for that reason, the evaporation of the sweat from the human skin also decreases, which feels the human being warm and uncomfortable in the highly relative humidity condition. Here we will study about the measurement of humidity. That means how the measurement of humidity happens and what are the instruments that are used for the measurement of humidity. The humidity of the atmosphere, which means the water vapor that is present in the air, is measured with the help of hygrometer, and this is also called dry and wet valve of the thermometer. So now students, let's see at the picture here. This is the picture of hygrometer. So here it is the wet valve and here it is the dry valve. In the wet valve thermometer, so this is the wet valve thermometer. In this thermometer, a piece of cloth is tied here. One end is to the thermometer and one end is to the small container of water. So what is the function of here wet valve and dry valve? So in the wet valve, it shows the temperature to which the air can be cooled by the evaporation. So which means by the evaporation, if the evaporation takes place in the air, it shows the temperature at which the air is cooled. And in the wet valve, here it shows the air temperature, that is the thermometer that is not affected by any kind of moisture or precipitation in the air. From this we can know about the difference in the temperature between the two thermometer that indicates the relative humidity. So which is the ratio between the absolute humidity of the given mass of air and the maximum amount of humidity or water vapor that can a air hold at the same temperature. Now the saturated air, so we previously know that the saturated air is the air that is have the maximum amount of water vapor present in it, and it cannot further hold any water vapor. And so as we know, it is full of water vapor, it does not allow any more water vapor, and in that case the temperature reading on both dry and wet thermometer will be the same. So as we know that in the dry valve it shows the moisture content, moisture laden temperature, and in the wet valve there is the normal temperature. So if there is saturated air, which means that relative humidity is 100%, and this saturation is mainly happen during the rainfall. During this situation, the wet valve and the dry valve shows the same temperature condition. Now we are going to learn about the condensation. So what do you mean by condensation? Condensation is the reverse process of evaporation, which means in the evaporation process the liquid goes to the form of gaseous state, and in the process of condensation the gaseous state is changed to the liquid form. In condensation, the water vapor in the atmosphere get converted into the water droplets or ice. So it may be converted in the water droplets or maybe ice. Both process are called as condensation. During condensation, the latent heat, as we know, latent heat is the energy that is released or absorbed by a body, is locked in the water vapor, is released back into the atmosphere. So here in the process of condensation, the latent heat is released. The latent heat is released. The condensation takes place only when the water vapor is added to the saturated air, or when the temperature falls below the temperature at which the air became saturated. So here it means that, which means the saturation level of the air falls due to the decrease in temperature. For example, if at 25 degrees Celsius temperature, air can hold 30 gram of water vapor per cubic meter, then if the temperature falls to 20 degrees Celsius, it can hold only 24 gram of water vapor. So here we see that as the temperature decreases, So as the temperature decreases, here also the saturation level of water vapor in the air is also decreases. So for that reason the 6 gram is remaining and which is became condensed. The condensation takes place when the following atmospheric condition exist. So what are the factors for the condensation in the atmospheric condition? There should be high amount of water vapor present in the air. So if there is no high amount of water vapor present in the air, no condensation takes place. Minuscule particles of dust, salt and even smoke act as a condensation nuclei, that is the particles around which the water vapor condenses. So here for the condensation the particles is needed which around which the condensation occurs. So based on this condensation nuclei the condensation process takes place. Next one is the temperature of the air must be below dew point temperature so as to encourage the condensation. So as we know, dew point is the temperature at which the air became saturated. So here we see that the temperature of the air must be below dew point. Dew point means the temperature at which the air became saturated. So to encourage the condensation. So these are the conditions for which the condensation takes place. Now we are going to learn about the forms of condensation, in which we are going to know about the cloud, dew, frost, mist and also the fog. Now let us discuss about the formation of the cloud, how the cloud formation takes place. As we know, the first step for the cloud formation is the water vapor. So when the temperature rises, the water from the ocean, seas, lakes transform to water vapor by the process of evaporation, and the water vapor remains suspended in the air and condensed around the small minute particles that are the dust particles, smoke and salt that is present in the air and which remains suspended in the air. When the air rises high up to the altitudes, the temperature decreases. As we know, the temperature decreases with the increase in height. So when the air get uplifted to the higher altitudes, the temperature decreases, which releases the heat, that is the latent heat. As the temperature decreases, the latent heat also released. So for that reason the condensation happen. Then also the condensed particles remain floated in the air, that is remain suspended in the air until when the air get fully saturated. That means the water vapor, the amount of water vapor is fully saturated in the air and it reaches the level of relative humidity, that is 100% of the saturation level. When the air reaches the relative humidity, that is 100% of the relative humidity, that is saturation level, it get transformed to the water droplets. The water droplets then remain suspended in the air up to when the air does not able to hold the water, as the many water droplets are added to the smaller amount of cloud and it becomes bigger in size, and when it does not able to hold any further moisture, it comes to the land surface as a form of precipitation. And know about the term condensation nuclei. So what do you mean by condensation nuclei? As we previously know that the condensation occurs only based on the small minute dust particles, salt or smoke. These dust particles, smoke or salt is known as condensation nuclei, around which the condensation takes place. Without these minute dust particles, the condensation does not take place and also they are not able to float in the air. So here we see that without condensation nuclei, condensation does not take place, and without condensation cloud do not form, and without cloud precipitation cannot be occurred. So condensation nuclei is the main important factor in the formation of the clouds. Now we are going to discuss about the classification or the types of cloud that are present in the atmosphere. So as we see in the atmosphere, in various weather conditions, different types of clouds are seen in the sky. When the cloud rises, they takes on different shape, but do not all the clouds causes precipitation. So from here we know that all types of cloud, we know that all types of cloud does not give us rain. The cloud may be grouped according to their formation in the atmosphere and their shape. Now we are studying about the shapes and the types of the of the cloud. Let's see what are the types of cloud that are present in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, mainly three types of clouds are found. These are the main types of cloud. In these three main divisions, there are many subdivided clouds, but here we only know about the main three types of cloud, that is cirrus, cumulus and stratus. So firstly comes the cirrus. So cirrus is a Latin word which means mare's tail. This type of cloud are fleecy like wool and generally at the high altitude. So which means altitude like 5,000 to 13,000 meter. In this high altitude, this type of cloud are found, and they are looks like thinny wispy strands of wool. The next one that comes is cumulus. So here the cumulus is also a Latin word and which means heap or pile. So here it is written that cumulus is a cauliflower like shape. Cumulus cloud is a cauliflower like shape which is flat in the base and fluffy in the upper portion. So this type of cumulus type of cloud, is mainly a rain bearing cloud. The next one that comes is stratus. So the word stratus in Latin means layer. So the stratus means layer. So as we know from the word that it is a cloud that forms in various layers, and these are the low level type of cloud. So they are mainly happen in the lower altitudes in the atmosphere. So these are the three main types of clouds, that is cirrus, stratus and cumulus. So here we can see that cirrus is a wool like structure, thin wool like structure, and in the cumulonimbus where the base is flat and the upper portion is broad. Here we can see that horizontal layers are formed in this type of cloud. As we are known that there are various form of condensation and the main form is the cloud, and we learn about it. Now we are discussing about the other forms of condensation, that are dew, frost, fog and mist. Now here we see the picture of dew. So how the dews are formed? When the water vapor condensed on the surface, it forms the tiny droplets of water. So these are the tiny droplets of water, and these are mainly occur in the winter season. Because why it is mainly occur during the winter season? Because during this time the temperature remains below the dew point. So we previously know that dew point is when the air get fully saturated and it does not contain or hold any further amount of water vapor. The next one that comes here is called frost. So what do you mean by frost? So frost occur when at a very low temperature, when the condensation occur at 0 meter, that is the ground level. So here we see that it is happening in the low temperature. In a low temperature, when the condensation occur in the ground level. Ground level means any type of crystals, minute type of crystal of ice are forming around the leaves, around the blade of the leaves. These are the forms of crystal that occur due to the water vapor directly freezes to the minute crystals around the leaf blades. The next one, that is fog. So how these terms are fog? The fogs are the droplets of water suspended in the atmosphere close to the surface of the earth. Then it terms as fog. And on the long winter nights, the ground remains cool rapidly and the air above cools down very at the surface level, and which reaches the dew point on the surface level, or that is the closest to the earth's surface, which forms the water vapor condensed into the minute solid particles, that is fog. Now comes the mist. So here we see that the mist and the fog are relatively same. So what is mist? Mist is less dense than fog and it has a better visibility than the fog. The visibility during fog is less from 1 kilometer, is less than the visibility. The visibility during fog is less than 1 kilometer, but in the under mist condition we may have the visibility of at least 2 kilometers. So here we can see some example of relief rainfall, that is the monsoon wind while ascending the western Ghat causes heavy rainfall on the windward side. In the northern eastern, the Himalaya barrier makes the wind set to the moisture on the windward side of the sloping that facing the southern direction. Similarly, the other region receiving the orographic rainfall, that is the relief rainfall, include eastern Brazil, eastern China, southeastern United States. Orographic rainfall is especially high in hot and humid area, because as we know that the warm air is ascending to the higher altitudes for the presence of the mountain. So in the equatorial area mainly, so in the hot and the humid area mainly the warm air gets heated and rises up to the higher altitudes. In all this region, there are the regions of heavy rainfall of near about 200 centimeter above, moderate rainfall that is 100 to 200 centimeter, and very low rainfall that is less than 25 centimeter. Now we are going to discuss about the convectional rainfall. So here is the diagram of the convectional rainfall, and it is mainly occur in the equatorial region. So why it is mainly occurring in the equatorial region? Because in the equatorial region there leads to the high temperature, that leads the air to heat up. So why it is occur in the equatorial region? The high temperature leads to the rapid heating of the air, such as the heated air rises convectional current rate to the development of the cloud at the height of 10 kilometers. The ascending current of the hot and humid air causes condensation and of cloud and resulting in the heavy rainfall. And this type of rainfall is mainly occurred during the 4 o'clock. So that's why it is called as 4 o'clock shower. Such rainfall is accompanied by thundering, lightning, and they are receive annual rainfall of 200 centimeter. Now we are going to discuss about the cyclonic or the frontal rainfall. So these are the frontal rainfall. So what is front? So we will know about it. This type of rainfall is mainly occur due to cyclone or depression, and it is caused by the convergence of two different airs. So that is the cold air and the warm air. So when the cold and warm air masses confront with each other, the warmer air is, we know that it is the lighter air. The warmer air moves gently to the upward direction, and the colder air, which is the heavier air, moves downward, and between this region a front forms. So front is the boundary zone of these air masses. So here we will see that the cold air and the warm air meets in this zone. So this is called as front. And the rising air is cooled down while going to a frontal lift. So the warm air, as it is the rising air, it cooled down and the condensation happen, and from that region the precipitation occur in that part of the area. So here we covered the chapter of humidity, and that's all for today. Thank you.